Okay, this is another rendition on how I would solder these 14500 batteries into a stick battery, to a 7.4 volt stick battery for my Crystal Focus version 5.6. I believe that this would also apply for the newer generation Crystal Focus version 8s, because it requires you to have 7.4 volts. Now, if you don't have a stick battery, you want to make it one yourself. One tip when it comes to soldering is that you want to make sure you tim your ends. Now, I've already centered this. If you see the battery, there are two holes. You want to be careful not to solder those. So when it comes to putting it, right now I'm gonna solder this into the top, and then after I'm done with that, I'll take the other end, solder it from the bottom, and once that's done, I can twist it around into a stick like this. So you want to make sure you be able to connect this to this. So I've seen videos where you would sand this down to get a good contact surface. You could do that, but I would prefer just using plain old flux. And you want to get this kind of battery that has a PCB. You don't want to have any kind of lithium batteries without it. PCB gives you protection. It's a protection circuit, and I use these. So I would first take my tweezer, put a little bit of dab here. I want to make sure I tim. Okay. I'm using a household soldering gun, since I don't have a soldering station. Okay, seems like my battery died of my camera. Alright, so what I have here, if I recap, this is a 26 gauge wire, 26 AWG. Now, I'm not going to use this 26 because it is way too thin to wrap it around. I'd rather use a thicker one. So I took a power supply and I cut it apart to salvage the wire. And I want to get a thicker one, and this is a 22 gauge wire. Same thing, it's a UL. This is a UL 1007. So I'm just gonna put it over here, and I'm gonna get ready to tim my brush. So before I start to solder anything, I want to make sure I've used the flux. So I'm going to use my flux, apply a dab in here. You want to make sure you want to tim two ends of the wire, because you're gonna make a stick battery, so you want to attach it to this side and the other side. Alright, so before I solder anything, I need to tim this first. So I'm using a household soldering gun. No, it's not a soldering gun, this is just a solder point. And I'm using steel wool, and that's going to help help with the process. And I'll be using the rosin core, fine electrical rosin core solder. It contains a good amount of lead. You don't want to breathe in this stuff, but since I don't solder much, no, this is as good as it's gonna get. This is a 40% lead. The diameter is 0.050. These can be found in local shops. You can get it from. And they still have it out of business. I'm not really sure. Alright, so let me see. Yep, it's hot. So I'm gonna solder it. Okay. Okay. That one's good. Now I'm going to do the other side. Now I'm using the 22 gauge because it's a little bit more thicker. You don't want to use a thin gauge because the wire's really small, and when you bend it, it's not going to give you that much strength because the wire is so thin, so it might be prone to breaking. So I use a 22 gauge, which you can find from a dead power supply. You could salvage out of that. Ooh. Okay. Ooh, okay, I need to. It's a bit too much. Okay. There you go. I'm gonna use my steel wool to trim the brush. And there you have it. Alright, now I'm going to proceed soldering the point here. Just going to position the helping hands. You want to lay it as flat as possible against the surface. Now, this surface needs to be fluxed. So I'm going to take a piece of flux, put it on. You want it. Okay. Okay. This is where the areas where it needs to be crimped. One here and one on the inside. So whenever I have to put the wire into the small micro JST 2.0 connector, you want to put it about this much from the wire to the ends. You don't want to put it all the way out. You want to put it just where it gets crimped. So you want to crimp it on the inside, crimp both ends, and there you go. You want to make sure that the end part, right over here at the end, attaches to into the plastic part, the PVC. The PVC has to be attached from the end, while the wire gets attached to the inside. So let's do that. Okay. So let's see, I'm going to do, I had to measure it. You don't have to roll it It'll just get crimped. Alright, so this is going to be cut right around there. So I'm just gonna cut about this much. I'm gonna cut a little bit more. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I want the black one to do the same thing. I want that same length. So I gotta attach both of them at the same time. Well, next, so I know exactly the length. It's about that much. That's good. Alright, now the hard part. It's crimping something so small with the camera in the way, which makes it 10 times harder for me. I apologize for the crappy quality. Okay. Alright, so gonna like that. When you're crimping, you wanna touch at the angle because that's where the metal folds over into the crimp. You wanna go to the lip. So you wanna first phase is done. Move it. Can I move it? It won't let me move. Alright, so this is good. So right now I need to fold the other end. So this is good. This is good. Now I need to fold the inside. So I gotta do the same thing for the black one. The ground cable, which is gonna be over here in the first end. That way. Make sure you don't squeeze it all the way tight. You just wanna hold the the connector. It's a lot harder. That's why I'm gonna edit the video so it'll be easier for all of you. Okay. And now this one goes in. Okay. Okay, now it's getting really troublesome. It's hard to. Okay. Perfect. Uh-oh. I accidentally crimped the top. Yeah. No biggie. I'll do it again. And I'll crimp the inside. Just the top end. Okay. Okay guys, this is my crimped JST. As you can see, it is very difficult to do with a large size crimper. Now using this is not good for a connector this small, because I came up different problems where I crimp it and it hits the other end and it crimps everything else into place and it ruins the wire. So you have to MacGyver it. I mean, I lost like 5 of these little connectors trying to crimp it right, but I was able to do it. And you want to make sure that after you crimp it, that you have a multimeter, and you want to check the continuity. I've already checked it already. To check the continuity, you have to move the switch all the way down to this white section, as you can see here. That's where you want to put it. Okay, and then you press on. Okay, it's 1. Then you can take these 2 prongs and you stick it into, let's say, this terminal that I created to the other end of the wire, which is this other end. So you want to take this and then you use your other hand and you press this, and basically you get continuity. Okay, so this number would change and fluctuate, so that means it's working. So I'm just going to turn this off, going back to 20, so that I can use it to check the battery when I'm done. But anyways, again, I'm going to put this connector to this side. Now before you put it in, like I put mine in already, you want to make sure that this connects to this first. I mean, you don't want to like accidentally put in the wrong color onto the wrong side, and then, you know, it's going to be a disaster having to put it back together. So you take this, you put it in. Oh, it works? Okay, good. So this is red and red, black to black. So I soldered this all in. Alright, so this black is gonna go, it's gonna go here. Like that. There. Two already made. Now, before I put this into my chassis, I want to make sure that it fits, because this thing is pretty huge, and these are again, these are 14500s, and I put 2 of these batteries in, and look what happened. I don't have that much space left. I have about this much space left. So I need to cut the red to be as close to this terminal, and while the black is going to reach all the way around to the end of the stick. So that's my plan, is to cut a very short wire so that I'm able to connect this here, no problem. So anyways, that's gonna be my next video. I'm gonna go and cut this up, and I want to show you how I solder it into a stick battery. Make sure before you solder anything, you need to tim your wires. That's important. Alright, use a tweezer. You put it in, apply flux, a small amount of it. Okay, so I'm already apply a small amount of flux into the wire. Gonna be careful not to hit the black wire. Okay, the iron is hot. Let's try this. Until it sticks. That's not good. That's not good. Try again. It's really hard to stick on. It refuses to stick on. That's what makes it so hard. Come on, flux. It just slides off. I swear to God, it doesn't want to stick. Okay, so this one sticks finally. So you're just gonna have to keep doing it. Follow through. That's a good point. That way it will build up. Okay, good. It's done. I'm gonna stick this into here. I just wanna make sure I position this correctly. I don't want to burn the black wire. Okay. Good. That's a solid joint. It's not gonna move. So this process right here, that's what you want. Take a little bit of time. That's what you want. See, these holes are not even covered. So as I put this here, I want to wrap it around like this. Because the battery compartment is really tiny, so I'm just gonna move all of this aside. I want it like that. That gives me more than enough room to work with. Actually, because of the way it is positioned, I'll have to think about the other way. Because it's going out. So you want to strategize how you want to position the battery. Position the point. Okay. That's what I want right here. It'd be helpful if you have tape. So let's convene. Let me tip my brush. After every use, you want to run the iron into the steel wool. So I'm using just regular painter's tape. You can take any tape. You want to just take a little piece. You want to take a little piece of tape. You want to make sure you position it how you want it. Okay, I want it like here. That's where I want it. Okay, that's how I want it. And this has to be tightened. So I want another piece of tape over in this section right here. As straight as possible. Okay, so that's the position. Okay, stick this tape in like that. And this whole piece in the middle, I want to tape that up too, because you want it flushed. Alright, so now that that's done, now you're gonna take a scissor and cut it. You want to cut the black wire because you don't want it too long. Alright, this is about that much length. Alright. Alright, since I don't have a wire cutter, I use just X-Acto knife. You just want to be very careful when using an X-Acto knife. I have a lot of experience with this knife, so just have to run it across. Just very slightly. This is already sharp, so you don't want to. Okay, you don't want to be careful not to cut the wire. Oh, beautiful. And like always, dip it in. And you want to tim the wire, which I haven't done. I'll be doing that right now. Be careful how you position the iron. You might burn something. Alright, so this is the easy part. Right up here. Alright, this one you want to just drop a bit of solder, drop a bit of flux, like that. A good amount. This is the easy part because it actually sticks on better. So it's gonna. Alright, now bring this wire to that position. So I'm just going to bend this wire. And I need to bend this wire. And this is going to be a hard part. There you go. All you do is tap it in. And there you have it, folks. Stick battery. The end part is the easiest to do because the end part sticks on a lot better than the front. So, rule of thumb when you're putting heat onto this part, this is the PCB part. You don't want to put too much heat on it. You want to put a little bit of heat, and as long as you put the iron into the base and you just run the solder into the heat, into the base, that's all you wanted. You want to make sure you flux it, you apply heat to the base, and you feed into the solder. And that's how you create a stick battery. And this is my way of putting it away. So as you can see, Budweiser bottle, it's empty and it's dry, and I put the iron in here, unplugged. You don't want to have it plugged in because otherwise you burn the base into the plastic. So like that, you don't want to drop it. That's my soldering gun holder. And there you have it. A homemade stick battery. Now let's try this on and see if that works. Alright, so I attached everything. Right? This is cooled off. Alright. Alright, moment of truth. Just make sure you put the kill key in first. You want to stick the battery in. Basically, you just want to test it to see if it works. Like that. Okay. And it works. Hear that? Hear that? This is my quick connect. See that? Everything is now powered up. I just wanna uninstall it. Put the kill key in. Always put the kill key in to shut everything off. And then you take the battery out simply just by pulling it from the end. There you go. This is the mini JST 2.0 using a 26 AWG gauge wire. Between in the inside is a 22 AWG gauge wire. It is a UL 1007. This is my preferred method. This is a PVC wire, and this is my preferred method how you make a stick battery on the go. Now let's try cleaning it up. So I'm just gonna make it look professional. Okay. And put in the PVC. Where is my PVC? I have my PVC somewhere. So I'm excited that this thing works. Okay. So after that is taken care of, I finally found my PVC heat shrink. So I want to cut enough for the stick battery. So let's remove this first. This painter's tape. It served this purpose. I don't want to leave the painter's tape on because it adds a little bit of girth to it. It adds a little width, and I don't want to add more width than it already is. Plus, it's already been secured. So, alright, so like this, and you take this PVC, you want to get a good run. It's about that much. You want to cut from the end. About that much. You don't want to. This one you can get off from eBay. I gotta put my arm around the camera. It's a little bit hard. I want to give a little bit more room so you can cover the bottom when you heat shrink it with a heat gun. And take this and just put it inside like a sleeve. It's easy to do. And there you go. Take the heat gun and just see how it wraps. Oh, I gotta wrap it in more. Hey guys, I'm finally done heat gunning this stick battery, this 7.4 volt 14500 stick battery. Now as you can see that there's a bump. I put in like a thick heat shrink tubing so that it can secure the middle. I realized that without some kind of security to hold the two batteries together, it causes a warp from a larger size to like a smaller, and because of the tight squeeze on the inside, it creates creases on the PVC heat shrink. But after a while, after I put a small little piece of heat shrink, this is what I use. I used a heat shrink tubing. The size would be a 3/4 inch to a 3/8 inch. It's a pretty large one. I just cut a piece, so you want to have something about that big I ran out of these things, so I'm going to buy more, but I was able to cut a small piece just to secure the middle section of the battery. Alright, just let it cool down after you heat gun. Now that you've created your stick battery, you want to double check the voltage on this. You want to see if you did it correctly. I set my multimeter to 20. Okay, take both ends. Okay, positive on this end, negative on this end. There you go, 7.36. This battery is good. And this is what I use for the chassis that I put onto for the Crystal Focus version 5.6. This would also work, I believe, for a Crystal Focus version 8, because it uses a 7.4 volt battery. And you can use 2 sticks of the 14500s, as you can see from the video. So, alright, anyways, this is Packin', signing off. Peace.